In order to create extruded boss or cut features in SOLIDWORKS, the end condition for the feature must be specified. End conditions can either be specified by extruding the sketch profile by a specified distance or by utilizing existing 3D geometry. There are three types of end conditions that are defined by a specified distance away from the sketch plane: the blind end condition, the through-all end condition, and the mid-plane end condition. The blind and mid-plane end conditions are set by specifying a finite distance away from the sketch plane, while the through-all option continues through all existing material in a single direction. There are 5 types of end conditions that are defined by existing 3D geometry: the up-to-next end condition, the up-to-vertex end condition, the up-to-surface end condition, the offset from surface end condition, and the up-to-body end condition. The offset from surface end condition also requires a distance to specify how far the extrusion stops before the selected surface. Using a combination of these different end conditions, I will walk through how to create this custom block and determine which end conditions are best according to the design intent of the part. Here I have a sketch that will create the custom-shaped block using a combination of extruded boss base and extruded cut features. This first feature will be a boss extrude that uses the mid-plane end condition, which is an end condition that does not use pre-existing 3D geometry. To create this first feature, I'll select the sketch from the feature tree. Click on Extruded Boss Base from the Command Manager, and in the Direction 1 box, the default end condition is set to blind. The blind end condition extrudes the profile by a certain set distance, and it does not take other 3D geometry into account. If I wanted to create the initial block shape to have material going in 2 directions by different amounts, I could also enable the Direction 2 box, and the preview extrudes in both directions. This appears similar to the mid-plane end condition, which creates material on both sides of the sketch profile. However, the amounts can vary independently. You can see this when I drag the arrows in the graphics area. To create the initial block, I'll set the extrusion depth to 2.5 inches and make sure the mid-plane end condition is selected for Direction 1. This creates a symmetric feature whose total thickness is defined in the Property Manager. Now, when I click the green check, the first block shape is created symmetrically about the sketch plane, totaling to 2.5 inches thick. The next feature will create an angled cut along the side of the part. This feature will extrude an angle a defined distance, using the blind end condition. To begin, I'll show Sketch 2, then select it to create the cut. I'll enable the Extruded Cut command, and the blind end condition is selected automatically. This is the end condition I want to use, but how do I create a cut on this side of the block, rather than on the back? One way I could do this is by flipping the direction, but this would force the cut to always start at the sketch profile. Another way of creating the cut is by offsetting where the cut begins, in the From section of the Property Manager. For this example, I'll set the From condition to Surface Face Plane and start the cut at this front face of the block. I want to make sure that this cut only extends 1 inch into the part from this face, so I'll enter a blind depth of 1 inch, which will cut through any geometry within the set distance, regardless of depth. The blind end condition doesn't consider other geometry for depth, which means that any geometry falling within the specified depth of 1 inch will be cut. This preview looks good, so I'll click the green check, and the second feature is complete. I'll make sure that the sketch is hidden that was used to create this feature. Next, I'll use the up-to-next end condition to create a small circular cut that goes up to this angled face on the block. To do this, I'll show Sketch 3. I'll select the sketch in the Feature Manager design tree and enable the Extruded Cut command. You can see that the preview shows the cut extending away from the block. To change the direction, I can either drag the arrow in the graphics area, or I can click the reverse direction button to switch it. Now you can see that the cut extends past the surface of the angled face. However, I want it to stop once it comes into contact with that face. To do this, I can use the up-to-next end condition. When I switch it, the preview updates and shows the end of the cut matching the angle of the face. This is a geometry-dependent end condition and will maintain cutting up to this face as long as the face is present in the model. Now I'll click the green check, and the cut is created up to the angled face. So far, this custom block has been created using a Boss extrude with a mid-plane end condition, a cut extrude using a blind end condition starting from a specific face, and a circular cut extrude that goes up to the next face it comes into contact with. The next feature I'd like to add is a cut on the underside of the part, which will match the angle of this face here, but will always be a particular depth below this face. This will require me to use the offset from surface end condition. To begin, I'll show Sketch 7 in the graphics area, which is located on the underside of the part. I'll select the sketch. Then enable the Extruded Cut command. I'll make sure the preview is cutting upward into the block, and if I switch the end condition to Offset from Surface, I can select any flat or curved face in the direction of the extrusion. If I go ahead and select the angled face, notice that the preview extends below the angled face. This depth is controlled in the Property Manager. If I change the depth to 0.5 inches, the cut will always remain a half an inch below the angled face. I'll click the green check, and the feature's complete. I'll hide the last sketch and show the last sketch I'll use, Sketch 6. This circular profile will be used to cut all the way through the part, no matter how tall the block is. This means I can't use a blind end condition, because if the part is made longer than the cut, it'll no longer go through the entire part. To create the cut, I can use the Through All End condition, which will always cut through the entire length of the part. This end condition can only be used with a feature that cuts away material. It's not available for Boss extrudes. I'll select the sketch and enable the Extruded Cut command. The preview appears, and I can drag the arrow down in the graphics area. However, as soon as I switch the end condition to Through All, the preview updates and extends all the way to the bottom of the part. If the sketch profile wasn't located at one end of the part, but I needed to cut to still extend through the entire length of the part, I could use a similar end condition, Through All Both. This cuts through all geometry in both directions. For now, I'll leave this option set to Through All going in one direction. And when I click the green check, the custom block is complete.